Hi everyone, my name's Kit. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a book called Atomic Habits. So I just want to have a shout out to Naira and Joel. So those two recommended me to read this book and I read it and I absolutely loved it. I've read it twice since then. So I think what I really love about this book is that it really helps me to understand the principles and also how to make habit changes. Today I'm going to share 4 things that I've learned from this book. I think these things have changed the way I think about habits. So just the principles, I think. And then next week, I'll make another video and that will be about just the nitty-gritties of how to put habits into place. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the 1% rule. James Clear talks about how 1% of improvement in different areas of your life means that your life would be much better, or the idea of 1% change each day or each week or each year, accumulative, you've got this huge amount of growth and change. So I guess don't feel discouraged if you're only making small progress. So I can imagine this, or I can see this in my own life in my reading books. So sometimes I just, there's been days where I just aim to read just 1 page of a book before bed. And that's just a small thing, but accumulatively over a year, if I read 1 page every day, that's like 365 pages. So don't, be discouraged by small little increments or small changes because it can all add up. The second thing I learned about from this book is the idea that identity shapes habits and also habit shapes identity. So what do I mean by that? So I don't know if you watched my YouTube video about reading with Joel. In that video, Joel talks about referring to himself as a reader. If you want to start reading, you want to see yourself as a reader. And seeing yourself as an identity means it reinforces the habit. And the habit also reinforces the identity. So there's a kind of shift. By reading, you can see concretely that you are a reader. And by telling yourself you're a reader, that will encourage you to do your habit. The other thing is that habits actually tie into human needs. The habits, so particularly bad habits, might be stemming from a particular human need. So I guess for me, an example would be I could be avoiding things, and my avoidance tactic is to distract myself by watching YouTube. And that was just an example of actually what is a human need that this particular habit, whether good or bad, is fundamentally touching on. So it's worth thinking and asking yourself that question. And the 4th thing I learned is about knowing your why. This actually comes up in his appendix, so if you don't read the appendix, you might miss it. But there's a quote in there by Nietzsche about knowing your why. And this is what Nietzsche says. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. For me, I can see this in my own life in terms of going to the gym. So I go to the gym most days, so 5 days a week. And it hasn't been easy to develop that habit, but I knew my why. I knew that if I went, it was going to be better for my mental health. And that was the driving, why of why I kept going. Even on the days when I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go. I prefer to sleep in. It's a bit dark outside. But that was my why, and having that clarity in the why actually drives me to do my habit. These are the 4 things I learned, in particularly thinking about habits and starting a new habit. Next week, I will post another video about the processes, the hows of starting new habits. So I'll catch you then. Bye! The second thing that I've learned is the idea that change, or even habit change, is about identity changes or shift. Is that the word? I'll work it out.